So let me get started here on educating you on some of these things, on how I do this. So I wanted to take my time and show you. So first what I do is I cut the bottom of the pineapple off, then I cut the top off. I'm going to go along the edge here. Now you can do it, you can cut this in half and make it a little easier. I can do the whole thing from top to bottom with no problem at all. And I just go around. I try to keep as much of it as I can, but no big deal, you know. And then I just take this green part off, and then I've got my pineapple all ready to rock here. And so I'm just going to cut that into spears. So what I'm aiming for in this juice, thanks Dara, is I'm aiming to get about equal parts. Now that's a lot of cilantro, but the reason why I went 10 ounces of cilantro, 10 ounces of pineapple, and 10 ounces of of coconut here. So it was a third, a third, a third. If you can't handle that much cilantro, then you can cut that down. But the cilantro is particularly beneficial for the removal of heavy metals as a chelator. It's also helpful to deodorize the GI tract, making it a little less likely to have proliferation of parasites or candida. It's the chlorophyll in these herbs that can really neutralize a lot of the acid waste and bring in oxygen, as well as an environment that is high in oxygen as well as chlorophyll, so that these bacteria, viruses, yeast, and fungus don't proliferate. Most people are harboring some ecology in their GI tract, and I've become kind of an expert over the years at food combining, food digestion. I do fasting, I do juice fasting, fruit diets, keeping things clean. So the cilantro is not only a blood purifier and a heavy metal chelator, but is also just extremely beneficial for neutralizing odors so that the armpits don't smell and whatnot. So I want to encourage people to use herbs. This recipe, I will tell you, with the cilantro, let me just get started here. How come this isn't working?
I'll plug it in.
Cool. The herbs are very useful for enhancing the blood. And so I'm encouraging everyone to consume a lot of herbs. And like I said, the parsley works well in this recipe if you don't like cilantro, because some people don't. So I'm kind of long-winded, but I'm so excited about sharing with you just some of the details so that you can have an education, so you can be inspired and understand why the cilantro is so beneficial, and why normally I might use only one bundle. These are amazing bundles. Here's one bundle, and they're usually not this big. But I was like, yesterday I just crushed it. I drank 10 ounces of cilantro. Normally you put in, you'll get maybe somewhere between 4 or 6 ounces from a normal size bundle. This is going to be a lot of cilantro, but the coconut and the pineapple makes it so that it's so tasty. Unless you're one of the people, it's like cilantro's a love-hate thing. I'm a lover. Like I said, the parsley works fine. It's not quite the heavy metal chelator, more of a kidney and a diuretic. But then again, that's why I mix it up. Parsley, bok choy, celery, dill, cilantro, some of the more basic herbs. And there's millions of other herbs on the planet, dandelion and arugula, that you can use. Fennel is an amazing herb to bring in antioxidants, to bring in life force. The cilantro is very fresh, and I may not get to all of it, but what I'm going to do here is, see, the pineapple's sort of starting to back up. Well, what I'll do is bring in some of the more fibrous, and that'll help move some of the pineapple through, so that when I bring in another piece of pineapple, it starts to kind of get backed up here. This will move the pineapple through. And I'll do that with if I'm doing apples and it starts to back up, or cucumbers, Cucumbers always tend to get so watery that they back up. A couple pieces of celery or some of the herbs move some of the cucumber through the juicer here, and then you're not overflowing. So I'm going to move a couple more of this cilantro through here. But I wanted to go heavy on the cilantro today so that I could just, because this, what I'm excited about is this is a new recipe for me. And it's like after, 16 or 17 years of daily juicing, it started out carrot, apple, carrot, apple, carrot, apple, carrot, apple, carrot, apple. And then one day I added parsley. Well, I think it was ginger first. And then someone said, add some ginger, my friend. Oh, and I was like, whoa, carrot, apple, ginger, carrot, apple, ginger. Well, no, this is perfect the way it is. The more simple, the better a lot of times. What was I saying? I was talking about something. Anyways, I just ramble on, but there's so much to teach.
The bromelain in the pineapple, how it digests protein.
That was what I was saying.
There you go.
The enzymes in the pineapple, that's what I wrote an email and I explained the benefits. And one of those was the benefits of the pineapple, which is really high in enzymes. Those enzymes in the pineapple here are protein digesting type enzymes. Like people in the islands, they marinate their meat in pineapple. I don't really eat meat or advocate it, but it pre-digests the protein. So a lot of people are dealing with undigested protein in the GI tract. They're just eating more than they can digest. High protein diets are not really a good thing because protein is far too stimulating. But that's a whole nother video in itself.
I'm wondering, I have a question. Do you think that the bromelain is helping to digest the proteins in your leafy greens? Maybe that could help you to digest them better also.
Well, some of the thing about the proteins in leafy greens is they're already so, especially when I juice them, I break out the amino acids in the greens, and then they're just so easily absorbed. Protein in meat is very hard to utilize. You may utilize maybe 10, maybe 20% if you have a really good stomach acid.
Yeah.
But the amino acids in plant foods are so much more easily absorbable.
So what makes the leafy greens sometimes hard to digest? You know how they talk about sometimes you need to eat fat to help you digest the greens, or some people get really bloated after eating greens.
Yeah, well, one thing, they're not chewing well enough.
Chew well.
Another thing is that humans are more frugivorous, and there's a difference in the plant cellulose of fruit cellulose is different than plant cellulose. Now, this cellulose here is a little bit less fibrous, but you get some kale.
And it's
You got to chew it well.
Right.
You got to think of the herbivorous animals. They have 4 stomachs. We only have 1.
Right.
So you got to be on point, either eating the most tender greens, or you have to be very, very aware when you eat things like kale to make sure you're masticating it, and juicing it in your mouth.
That's why I like to juice it or blend it.
I eat tender greens and I juice the more fibrous ones because, I'm living in this world. I just want to get the biggest bang for my buck. And if I've got a juicer here, I can go eat kale for a couple hours if I want, but sometimes I don't have time to do that. If I'm in a kale garden somewhere, but if not, I'm just going to juice 5 or 6 kale leaves, get the minerals, get the chlorophyll, and then I'm going to just juice it. That way I don't have to have those issues because the plant cellulose in the green plants is harder. So chew well. Every meal should be a prayer.
This is really good.
This is what I was telling you.
Such a good reminder. Like Dan and I were having the best conversation last night talking about how to digest our food to the best of our ability, and he was really talking about making it a prayer and sitting down and breathing, not necessarily going out to dinner somewhere where it's noisy and people are talking.
No.
It's just to sit, well, actually not to do that, but to sit and enjoy and breathe and peaceful. You were talking about
in silence.
In silence.
Like you say a prayer, and before that's very common, somewhat less common these days, but most of the times people would pray, and there was a reason for that, because that would raise the frequency, and that would also bring the awareness to what was happening. This is a gift from nature and God to nourish yourself.
Sure, if you were growing, like we just have greens from my front garden, and if you were growing them yourself and you pulled that one piece of kale, that would be really precious to you. you would feel really good about it because you planted it. So we have to think along those lines, right?
Prayer brings awareness to the meal, and when awareness is there and you look down at your cheeseburger at McDonald's, if you have the habit of if you have
I even said that.
if you have the habit of praying before your meals and you go to McDonald's and say, "Dear Lord, thank you for the nourishment in this food," you might look down at your burger and say, "Well, wait a minute, there is no nourishment in this food. This is a plugger."
Wait till you see the nourishment.
And so
This is from our garden.
So that awareness, like even the awareness of really taking your time to chew these juices, to know what this is about. This is about detoxifying your blood and neutralizing heavy metals. I had a consultation with a lady this morning, and she inspired me. She's going to do it. I said, get a juicer and get the pain out of your body. Juices like this with these alkalinizing minerals, you know, you eat too much meat, you eat too much bread, the body just stores all these acids in your joints, in your back, in your kidneys, in your hips, in your knees, in your digestive organs, and then
I'm getting ready.
you've got some serious issues. I'm going to drain this out here to get all this awesomeness out of the cilantro juice. And those 2 bundles of cilantro, that's a little more cilantro than most people consume in a day, but man, I'm telling you, when you're living in this world,
I can use that towel.
when you're living in this world, it's just time to get on the greens. I use fruits. I love fruits. Fruits are food. Fruits are medicine as dissolvers. That's the beauty of this. You've got the dissolving properties of the pineapple with the enzymes and the fruit acids. The fruit acids sounds counterintuitive, but they dissolve. People eat, you know, cheese and bread, and it seems normal.
They're doing it to dissolve
But
mucus probably too, and just clean up and tonify.
That's right. Especially citrus.
And for skin, right?
Grapes.
Yeah.
So you use the fruits, but man, in this day and age, I'm using the organic herbs to just crush it, to keep it real, because I don't like my armpits to stink. I always smell really good. It's important to me.
No, you can fix that. Yeah, you don't have to smell. You don't have to have any body odor.
You have to have, well, what I usually show, I wanted to show them,
Oh, okay.
well, my thing, this is a serving for me. This is a serving of medicine. You can have a glass. I'll do the DTM
green glass.
32 ouncer. This is a serving for me.
Yeah.
And that's a meal. I mean, sometimes I'll even drink 2 juices.
It is so good. It's like crazy good.